Good afternoon. Take your seat, please.
Thank you so much, sir.
Introduce yourself.
Sir, I am Sparsh Sharma. I come from Udhampur district. I have completed my BTech from Haryana College of Technology and Management. After that, I started preparation for the civil services examination. In my very first attempt itself in 2019, I gave the interview as well, conducted by UPSC. Then I couldn't make it. And after that, I'm working with multiple organizations in Delhi as a freelancer content creator in international relations, as well as I'm also a mentor as well.
You're working as a mentor.
Yes.
Mentoring whom?
So I'm mentoring the students who prepare for civil services examination.
So why didn't you choose a job in engineering?
So actually, I always wanted to be a civil servant only. Even after my 12th standard, based on the advice of my father, I took civil engineering. Even in my third year itself, I started preparation for the civil services.
So what is the commonality between civil engineering and civil services?
So although one is a technical job and other is a more non-technical thing, but there are significant commonalities as well. Like we need to have quality supervision in both the disciplines. Apart from that, we need some leadership qualities in both the disciplines. So I think there are some similarities.
Your knowledge of engineering, how is it going to be helpful in your administrative service?
So in various projects that I have been associated with in my civil engineering, like in rainwater harvesting, I've done that. These can be helpful while I'll be in administration. Apart from, there are some skills like teamwork and team leading, which will certainly be helpful in the services.
What's your preference for services?
So it is Kashmir Administrative Services, Jammu Kashmir Administrative Services, and then Police Service, and then Account Service.
Then police and then account service.
Yes, sir.
Why not police service as your first preference?
So I think the Jammu and Kashmir Administrative Services that offers a diverse range of work profile. Although the police is also having its functional utility, and I'll be equally happy if I get to the police services.
Any specific reason?
So not any specific reason.
Okay. What do you think are the problems faced by people in your district, Udhampur district?
So I see primarily there are three problems. First relate to the relative absence of cold chain infrastructure, because apple, apricot, plum, these sort of fruits are produced in the hinterland of Udhampur, like Lati, Dhuna. So relative absence of cold chain infrastructure is one problem. Secondly, yes sir.
इतनी quantity में होते हैं produce?
So but still they are produced.
Okay, cold chain then.
And second, I think it is about the unemployment. And third is a consequence of the second, that is extreme drug abuse. The youth specifically is now into drugs. That is a significant concern. I'll see most important concern.
How can we tackle that drug abuse?
So two things have to be done, I believe. First is to cut the supply of opium and poppy by strengthening the border mechanism. Apart from that, it's very important to work at the school level as well as the level of the colleges. Like in Nasha Mukti Abhiyan, it is statistically proven that students who are into sports and physical activities are lesser prone to drug abuse.
What are these drug de-addiction centers?
I'm sorry, sir, I didn't get it.
Drug de-addiction.
So the drug de-addiction centers are the places where it is the objective of the entire process is to somehow rehabilitate the person who is there and try to ensure that his addiction or her addiction gets out.
Do we have any such center in Udhampur?
So I'm not really sure about that.
Okay, what else drives the economy of Udhampur?
The agriculture, and there's a lot of military establishment as well where the local youth is involved.
Northern Command of the Army.
Yes, sir. It hosts the headquarters of the Northern Command.
तो उससे क्या फर्क पड़ता है इकोनॉमी पे?
So it gives employment to a lot of people in Udhampur, like in one FOD, where the civilian part of military is overseen, the military contractors as well. So they are getting employment somehow by this organization.
So your optional is political science and international relations.
Yes, sir.
So what is this international relations?
So international relations is a discipline of the studies, whereby we study various we do various comparisons within the political systems of various countries, and also try to establish their relations, their nature, and the future prospects of various the relations of various countries.
What are major geopolitical issues right now in the world?
So in the world, primarily the world is faced with two major conflicts: Israel Palestine and Russia Ukraine. These are the conflicts. Secondly, major geopolitical concern is the aggressive rise of China. That's also a regional concern, that's also a global concern. Third is the void that is left in the Middle East.
And that how does rising of China affect the world?
So China is inherently an opaque country. That is not at all a transparent country. And also the relations that it has established with the world are purely transactional. And its ramifications are clear now that many countries like Sri Lanka and Maldives are now facing the brunt of that. So, and even Pakistan very recently, the IMF is not giving much amount of money to that. So I think China's nature of relations is more transactional rather than a welfareist approach.
There's something called a checkbook diplomacy.
Yes.
What is it?
So checkbook diplomacy itself, this is the transactional diplomacy of China, whereby China tries to give more and more money to the country, and then puts it in a debt trap, so that for recovering that money, again it has to take another debt.
ये जल जीवन मिशन क्या है?
Sir, Jal Jeevan Mission is the Government of India's program under the Ministry of Jal Shakti, and the objective is to reclaim the wastelands, also promote the conservation of water, increase the water use efficiency, and inherently support the traditional water conservation infrastructure.
Nee, what is the main goal of this JKAS?
So I'm sorry, I'm not able to recall the specific target. I'll surely study about that.
हर घर नल नहीं सुना है?
हर घर जल, yes sir. I'm so sorry. हर घर जल.
तो यही तो बेसिक एम तो वही है इसका. तो व्हाट इज द स्टेटस ऑफ ड्रिंकिंग वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी इन योर डिस्ट्रिक्ट?
So I'm sorry, I'm not able to recall the exact statistics, but I'll read about that.
What are the schemes being implemented, centrally sponsored schemes by the Roads and Buildings Department? You're a civil engineer, no?
Yes, sir. So I'm sorry, I'm not able to recall it.
What is Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana?
So Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana again is a centrally sponsored scheme that seeks to increase the connectivity primarily in the village area.
तो कितनी पॉपुलेशन की हैमलेट्स को कनेक्ट करने का प्लान है अंडर दिस? Because this is related to your subject.
Yes,
बारे में ना थोड़ा इन स्कीम्स के बारे में थोड़ा पढ़ना चाहिए.
Yes, sir.
तो आप बताइए ये नेशनल हाईवे, स्टेट हाईवे और एक्सप्रेसवे, इनमें क्या डिफरेंस है?
So national highway connects various So I know that, but I'm not able to recall the exact.
देखो बेटा, these are very much relevant to your subject,
yes,
area of specialization. देख आप कुछ भी पढ़ लो, बट आपने सिविल इंजीनियरिंग की है, ये बैगेज तो आपको हमेशा साथ लेना पड़ेगा. इवन कल को आपकी पोस्टिंग भी जब डिसाइड होगी, वहां भी देखिए कि क्या है इसकी बेसिक क्वालिफिकेशन कहाँ क्या. इसलिए यू हैव टू रिमेन अब्रेस्ट विद योर सब्जेक्ट ऑलवेज.
Since your optional is political science, तो हॉब्स के बारे में तो पढ़ा ही होगा आपने.
Yes.
What are his views on human nature?
So Hobbes believed that human nature is inherently individualist and is driven by the pleasure-pain principle. Whatever human finds pleasure in, he or she tries to follow that only.
And what are his views on state of nature?
So for the state, Hobbes promotes state absolutism. But even in that, the state absolutism, Hobbes says, even if we are giving all powers to the states, in that case also it is only to ensure that the right to life of the individual is ensured. In that case also he comes out as an individualist and a utilitarian.
But he says you have to give all the power to the sovereign, right? Leviathan, he calls him Leviathan. But he does not give him or bestow him one power, which is
right to life.
Exactly. So basically he says in state of nature, the life of man is solitary, poor, nasty, brutish and short. So which is your favorite thinker? political science?
So in Western political thinker, I like reading Machiavelli, and in India, I like reading Chanakya Kautilya.
What is the similarity between
So
Kautilya and
the binding thread is political realism. Both of the thinkers are political realists.
political realists? What else?
So both have extensively written about how the prince for Machiavelli and the king for Chanakya should secure its power, and various dimensions of that as well, and also about how to secure the state from the external aggression.
By whatever means, right?
Yes.
Whatever it takes. Right. So, what is this Russia-Ukraine conflict all about?
So Russia-Ukraine conflict, there are multiple reasons for that. I mean, the entire thing, it appeared that Russia wants to, I mean, the Russian version is that Russia wants to protect the Russian people who are living in Ukraine. But there's one more theory, that it is about the resources of the Ukraine, because Russia is not having much ports that are working throughout the year. But in Ukraine, in southern side of the Ukraine, there are multiple ports that are connected with the Black Sea and to the Mediterranean throughout the year. So it is also one reason. Apart from that, another reason is the eastward expansion of NATO and the Ukraine's political alignment towards NATO.
As far as I remember, they have some warm water ports as well. It's not that all their ports are fridged.
Some of them.
Yes, they have. And what is this concept of community of wives and property given by Plato?
Sir, Plato has talked about communism in a diverse section. He says that the sole purpose of philosopher king is to work for the state, and property and wives, he believes, has a corrupting influence, and it will eventually corrupt the king, bring nepotism, and out of that the king will not be able to work for the state.
Right. Do you think it can be applied nowadays? I mean, we have a problem of corruption, right? How can we tackle corruption? Do you think it's feasible to apply this?
So this idea appeared more idealist. Even Aristotle also criticized it, that family, it is true that family influences our decisions, but family also have a motivating influence. We work for our family, and it is not necessary that if person is having a family, it will eventually lead to corruption only. So that idea, I believe, is more idealist.
It's not feasible, right? What do you say?
Yeah, taking the cue, seem to be like worried about China, but don't you think that China is following what Machiavelli and Chanakya said?
So it is true.
So don't you feel that there is a contradiction in because you like those things, but you think that China is a problem? And don't you think that even USA followed the same transitional policy? Every nation follows that. So why you are worried about China?
So actually, I am worried about China. I like this theory, but I will more like it if it's implemented by our country. Because eventually, in the geopolitics, all countries are cruel and all want their own national interest to be survived. As you said, it is true that USA has also done that. And that's why they have now developed such important stake. We should ensure that China do not follow such footsteps, because it will also be impacting the regional architecture, because it is our immediate neighbor.
So, what do you think that what is the difference between the Machiavellian hero or the prince and I'll say Mahatma Gandhi? And do you think that we need a Mahatma Gandhi or we need a Machiavellian prince in our country?
So I think we need a composite mixture of both. Because, and as you said, the difference, Machiavellian prince is more pragmatic. On the contrary, Mahatma Gandhi, he eventually wants a stateless society. Eventually, he does not talk about a prince. He talks about self-sufficient village economy. So I think we need a mixture of both. On one hand, a person is welfare oriented as well. On the other hand, he or she is also hell bent to ensure that the national interest is not sacrificed at any point of time.
देखो बेटा,
Gandhi was more about means should justify the end.
पर्सनल ओपिनियन तो ठीक है, लेकिन आप जिस इंटरव्यू के लिए जा रहे हैं ना, वहाँ ये इम्प्रेशन आपको नहीं देना चाहिए जैसे कि हम हमारा स्टेट या गवर्नमेंट जो पॉलिसी फॉलो कर रही है वो ठीक नहीं है और हमें चाइना को फॉलो करना चाहिए, या इस तरीके से यहाँ पे गांधी के बारे में कुछ ऐसा कहना, इट वुड नॉट क्रिएट ए गुड इम्प्रेशन पैनल में। आप
आई एम ब्रिंगिंग इनटू यू ए ट्रैप, और आप ट्रैप में
तो आप ट्रैप में
आ रहे हो।
So Machiavelli ends justify the
मैं
means.
आपके लिए ट्रैप बिल्ड कर रहा हूँ और आप ट्रैप में घुसते जा रहे
हाँ,
हो।
यहाँ तो यू हैव टू बी वेरी स्मार्ट।
For Gandhi, means should justify the end. That's the main difference.
वो टेक्निकलिटीज बता दो ठीक, इस तरीके से यू आर जंपिंग टू द कंक्लूजन्स दैट आई विश दैट माय कंट्री फॉलोज व्हाट चाइना, दिस विल गो नेगेटिवली, इट विल गो अगेंस्ट यू।
And then you are saying Machiavelli's pragmatism. So मतलब next question पूछने वाला था पर अभी खैर उसको रहने दीजिए. But you are falling in a great trap. मतलब आप फंस जाते बहुत बुरी तरह से. Okay. In terms of international relationships, there are many organizations which we know like SAARC, BRICS, and other things. But there are many other groups which work in a different manner and which are as powerful as, if not less. What do you know about World Economic Forum, CFR, and Bilderberg Group?
So World Economic Forum, that's a think tank, not-for-profit organization that is working for the betterment of the world by bringing out and sponsoring innovations throughout the world.
And what about CFR and Bilderberg Group? Have you heard about them or not? So you don't follow international relationships too much, or because this is your?
So I do that, but I am not able to entirely recall CFR.
Okay.
देखो बेटा, ये सिविल सर्विस, ये सिविल इंजीनियरिंग का और PSIR जो आपका ये नहीं, इन पे तो पूरी नजर रहनी चाहिए।
देखिए, जो चीज लेमैन को पता हो तो लेमैन को तो सबको पता है, बट आप क्योंकि स्पेशलाइज कर रहे हैं तो आपकी नॉलेज तो थोड़ी लेमैन से ज्यादा ही होनी चाहिए ना। ब्रिक्स, सार्क, नेटो के बारे में सब जानते हैं।
So CFR में शायद मैं
काउंसिल फॉर फॉरेन रिलेशंस।
Okay.
These are very मतलब कहेंगे पावर ग्रुप्स all over the pressure groups, international pressure groups. So when we talk about nationalism, what is inclusive nationalism and what is exclusive nationalism, and give examples countries which are inclusive, following inclusive nationalism, and countries which are following exclusive nationalism.
So inclusive nationalism is such sort of nationalism where it is very important to ensure that we are having fraternal ties towards all the sections of the society, not entirely the base on the which the country is developed. Like India is inclusive nationalism. If we go to Pakistan, I believe that's exclusive nationalism, whereby only a specific communities are considered as nationalist, and rest like Ahmadiyya Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, they are excluded.
Okay, what about Europe?
So Europe initially claimed to be a flag bearer of inclusive nationalism only, but now we are witnessing the rise of xenophobia throughout the Europe. That shows that probably it is again aligning towards
when all the countries were created, like in India we also had different languages, but Europe created its countries on the basis of their differences. So when was it in terms of an inclusive nationalism?
So initially, Europe always accepted immigration and the people who are not of European origin. If they are citizens, they can be citizens. But now we are witnessing the rise of far right as well as far left movements throughout the Europe, and the rise of xenophobia in the countries like France and Germany that once used to claim themselves as champions of the inclusive nationalism.
What's the difference between their secularism, European secularism, and our secularism?
So Indian secularism is, I believe, positive secularism, whereby the state is not outrightly segregated from religion. We want protection of all religion. In Europe instead, state tries to be at an arm's length from church.
Just wanted to know that how much you have, like, because whatever degree you have done, we'll take cues from your past, that what exactly you have. Action speaks louder than the words. So whatever you are saying means nothing if the actions are not like coinciding with that. So you should like study something about your. So apart from this, one final question. So you talked about a lot of things, and by hearing that your responses, I feel that you have a kind of a definite kind of some philosophy in your mind in terms of what you talked about, Machiavelli and other things. So do you think that how well you will be able to handle a multicultural environment in which you will be working, where people from different communities and different religions and caste and languages, how well you will be able to handle those things?
So I think while execution, it doesn't matter to me a person from any caste or religion is coming out. Also, I'll try to ensure that a positive feedback loop is created so that people from all sect, regardless of what's their background, they can communicate to the government and in a sense to me as an institution holder in that case.
So that is only in the case of execution, or that is your normal?
So that is in the case of throughout the process, even in case of planning, in case of execution, and in case of getting the feedback as well.
Okay. And personally?
So personally as well, I am quite open to all religion. I have never been associated myself with any particular any particular sect. Even though I belong to one sect, I'm always open to. I'm having friends across the caste lines as well as religious lines.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You mentioned traveling as your hobby.
Yes, sir.
Can you share some traveling experiences with us?
So I've traveled both domestic as well as abroad. Very recently, I traveled to UAE, Kazakhstan. I've been to Singapore and Hong Kong as well. Regarding the experiences, I think I've learned quite a lot because in specifically states like Singapore, Hong Kong and Dubai, UAE, I'll really believe that the kind of traffic management system that they're having is extremely good. Apart from that, they have reduced the human intervention in the execution of traffic management. That's why the law enforcement becomes quite non-partisan. And in Kazakhstan, one beautiful part is that the road connectivity. We went to a place called Shimbola that they were calling as village, but the village roads were so beautiful that I was quite mesmerized with that.
So, how would you describe traveling as an experience? What's the best thing about traveling?
So the best thing about traveling is gaining new experiences and insights about the things that we always imagine and seeing their practical form.
Okay. I'm a little curious to know this. You mentioned cardistry as well. What is it?
So cardistry is the display of card tricks that we use playing cards by swiftly manipulating the hands in order to deceive the viewer and to make the entire act quite aesthetic and appealing. Thank you, sir.
Trickster.
Yes.
Should an administrator be a trickster?
I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were saying that trickster.
आप में है एबिलिटी कि आप कर सकते हो क्वालिफाई, लेकिन अभी जो आपके रेस्पॉन्सेज आ रहे हैं ना, वो थोड़ा शैलो से लग रहे हैं. जब एकदम आप कुछ बात करते हो तो एकदम रुक जाते हो जैसे ये. और दूसरा अपना ये डोमेन नॉलेज जो आपका है इंजीनियरिंग का और पॉलिटिकल साइंस का, इसमें थोड़ी सी और गहराई से नजर दे. अदरवाइज पोटेंशियल है.
देखिए भाई, अगर जैसे कि भी पिछले इंटरव्यू बोले थे, दे वर टॉकिंग मोर अबाउट फैक्ट्स. तो अगर ऑब्जेक्टिव नॉलेज पे आ गए तो अभी आपकी उसमें मैं थोड़ी सी वीकनेस जैसे देख रहा हूँ, स्पेशली इन योर.
आप शैलोली ऊपर से कह रहे हैं तो
देखिए, सब्जेक्टिव आंसर देना बहुत आसान होता है, मतलब आप किसी चीज पे व्यू दे रहे हो, बट ऑब्जेक्टिवली जब जाना होता है इट्स ऑल टुगेदर ए डिफरेंट थिंग. तो वो फैक्चुअल थिंग्स को जानना और फैक्चुअल पॉइंट्स के ऊपर जाना, दैट इज.
अभी ज्यादा स्ट्रेस लेने की जरूरत नहीं. कल इंटरव्यू है, जाके रिलैक्स.
कब इंटरव्यू कब है आपका? कल ही है.
होपफुली
यू हैव अ गुड चांस ऑफ मतलब मेकिंग इट. एक ही चीज बोलूंगा कि जब हम मतलब रिस्पॉन्स दे रहे हैं तो पर्सनल मतलब कि व्यूज नहीं देने से बचें. ठीक है,
कोई लेना है वही
आप किसी के हवाले से कह सकते हैं,
हिसाब से चलना.
उसने ये कहा, डोंट से कि ये मैं सोचता हूँ. दैट इज अ वेरी डेंजरस थिंग. अगर आप किसी चीज पे बोलोगे, यू विल टेक योर पर्सनल स्टैंड, यू विल स्टार्ट गिविंग योर व्यूज. द पर्सन सिटिंग हियर विल स्टार्ट जजिंग यू in a particular manner that what exactly you are going into that. So don't bring your personal. So always quote someone that this is that someone said this according to him, rather than giving your own views about anything.
So एक क्वेश्चन है सर, लाइक वो महात्मा गांधी वाला क्वेश्चन जो था, अगर यही चीज मुझे पूछी जाती है तो मुझे किस तरह से रिस्पॉन्ड करना चाहिए कि हमें लाइक, या फिर मैं अपना थिंकर ही बदल दूं?
नहीं, थिंकर नहीं है ना, आपने दोनों तीनों पॉइंट रखने हैं सामने. यू डोंट हैव टू गिव योर ओन व्यू. तो भाई कि कुछ लोग ये बोलते हैं, कुछ लोग वो बोलते हैं.
और महात्मा गांधी का, चूंकि आप गवर्नमेंट के लिए, जॉब के लिए अप्लाई कर रहे हो, वहां नहीं, आपको हमेशा हायर स्टीम में
हायर
रखना
स्टीम में
है
रखना ही
महात्मा
रखना
गांधी
है।
को।
ही इज फादर ऑफ द नेशन।
So, but still, अगर
सो यू कैन टॉक अबाउट द गुड।
नहीं, आपकी पर्सनल ओपिनियन क्या हो कि वो अपनी जगह रख लो।
तो
यहाँ
एक्चुअली मैं
पे-
समझ नहीं पा रहा हूँ, अगर मुझे आर्टिकुलेट करना हो तो मैं किस तरह से आर्टिकुलेट करूँ इस आंसर को। लाइक अगर मुझे पूछा आता है डू यू वांट
bit diplomatic in the sense कि आपको you don't have to say कि मैं ऐसा सोचता हूँ, किसी फेमस पर्सनालिटी को कोट कर कि उनका व्यू ये है, इनका व्यू ये है,
और बाकी
Leave rest to-
गांधी की इतनी कंट्रीब्यूशन है कंट्री के
बिल्कुल।
लिए, उन चीजों को सामने ले आओ। फ्रीडम स्ट्रगल में क्या किया, किस तरीके से
ही
उन्होंने
लेड बाय एग्जांपल। ही सेड व्हाट ही लाइक व्हाट ही डिड।
महात्मा क्यों बोलते हैं उसको, उससे सब-
एक्चुअली मैं अभी फिर समझ नहीं पा रहा हूँ एक चीज। आई एम सो सॉरी, मैं थोड़ा सा
नहीं, नहीं।
लाइक जब आपने मुझे पूछा कि व्हाट डू यू वांट नाउ, मैकियावेलियन प्रिंस और गांधी,
हाँ।
सो इन दैट केस मतलब क्या चीज मैंने गलत बोल दी?
You should always keep Mahatma Gandhi on a higher pedestal.
चलो मैं वो समझ रहा हूँ, बट मैं बस ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि जब मैंने आपको जवाब दिया तो वो
देखिए
क्या
पहली बात
चीज
सुनिए ना, वो अब मैकियावेली का जो प्रिंस है वो किन चीजों पे कह रहा है, अगर आप देखेंगे ना एक बेसिक डिफरेंस है। मैं क्यों कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट इसमें किया, मैकियावेली का प्रिंस बोलता है लॉन्ग वॉर इज इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर अ लॉन्गर पीस। ठीक है, अगर आपने प्रिंस पढ़ी हो तो वो चाहता है कि जंग इज इम्पोर्टेंट।
वहाँ everything is fair, everything is
तो यहाँ पर ये बोलता है कि नॉन वायलेंस इज द ओनली वे टू गो अहेड। ठीक है, व्हाट इज, कितना बड़ा डिफरेंस है। ठीक है, तो अब आप बोल सकते हैं कि देर आर सम व्यूज, सम पीपल व्यू दैट वी नीड like immediate action and for a longer peace, but there is another way of Mahatma Gandhi where strive and struggle and satyagrah is the way to build the thing, and we have seen that if you'll compare, अगर मैं बोलूँगा, there is a comparison of Afghanistan and India. Afghanistan, every time there is a problem they will pick up a weapon, but here what happens, every time there is a problem we'll go on strike, hartal or something like so. We always use non-violence means, whereas they will always use a violent means.
and Mahatma Gandhi is more relevant nowadays than ever.
नहीं, आप एकेडमिक
तो
डिबेट तो
society
नहीं
की-
कर रहे हो ना,
क्या
यू आर
है?
गोइंग फॉर ए जॉब इन द गवर्नमेंट।
अब आप अगर मैकियावेली और बोल रहे हो कि मुझे वो पसंद है, तो आपको उसकी गहराई तो पता होनी चाहिए ना कि वो क्या कहता है। मतलब अगर आपको नहीं पता, आपने किसी ऑथर को बोल दिया मुझे वो पसंद है, लेकिन वो उसके कोई ऐसे व्यू हो सकते हैं जो मतलब जी खतरनाक हो या डेंजरस हो इन प्रेजेंट सर्कमस्टांसेस। So you have to know deeper.
This may
or
affect
don't say that.
interviewers' perception towards you.
हाँ.
That's what we are trying to tell you.
आपको अगर पता नहीं है तो मैकियावेली को मत बोलो कि ही इज माय फेवरेट ऑथर, अगर आपको उसकी गहराई पता नहीं है।
उससे आपकी पर्सनालिटी का
आप
थोड़ा
थोड़ा से
सा
बोल रहे हो चाइना इज एग्रेसर,
And we
बट
should
वहीं से
follow
मैकियावेली का ही तो वो तो रोल मॉडल है कि पावर किसी तरह से भी लेनी है, मतलब बाय एनी मींस। मतलब उसका एक ही रूल है कि उसको पावर में रहना है। उसके लिए साम दाम दंड भेद, जो चाणक्य नीति सिखाती है कि साम दाम दंड भेद कुछ भी करके आपको पावर में रहना है, वो एक फिलॉसफी बिल्कुल अलग है।
सर हम ऐसे बोल सकते हैं वी नीड मोर महात्मा गांधी एंड लेसर मैकियावेली?
Exactly.
yes, sir.
Around the world, we have wars going on at many places. Non-violence. We need what? Peace.
हाउ मेनी कंट्रीज आर लाइक मतलब फॉलोइंग महात्मा, और कितनी मैकियावेली को प्रमोट करती हैं, जरा बताइए। मोस्ट ऑफ द कंट्रीज आर रिस्पेक्टिंग महात्मा गांधी, नॉट मैकियावेलीज प्रिंस, इजंट इट? तो अभी वर्ल्ड को क्या चाहिए? लुकिंग फॉर पीस। और आप एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव जो आ रहे हैं, तो आपका थ्योरी क्या होगी कि नहीं मैं किसी तरह से भी काम करवा लूं, रादर देन मैं प्रॉपर वे में जाऊं। तो एज एन ऑफिसर भी मैं आपके बारे में क्या सोचूंगा? अगर आपका मैकियावेली प्रिंस है तो आप तो साम दाम दंड भेद लगाने में ही लगे रहोगे।
That's what I said. You have to be more diplomatic. अगर आपकी पर्सनल प्रेफरेंस क्या भी है, आपको माकियावेली अच्छी लगती है, उनकी थ्योरी अच्छी लगती है,
वो तो है एकेडमिक पर्पस के लिए आपने लेकिन इस चूंकि आपने चूज किया है इस जॉब के लिए जहां आपको इस तरीके का काम करना है, तो इस वजह से
आपको स्ट्राइव करना है, स्ट्रगल करना है, किसी चीज पॉलिसी को आगे बढ़ाना है, कुछ करना है, तो आप मतलब प्रॉपर वे से चलोगे कि धीरे धीरे चलोगे, पेशेंस रखोगे, या बोलोगे नहीं झटके में सब कुछ होना चाहिए? गॉट इट? तो आपके बारे में हम कुछ परसेप्शन यहाँ से बना लेंगे कि आपकी कुछ पर्सनल,
सीधे इस तरीके से वो तो सीधे कहें कि पैनल में यार ये बड़ा एरोगेंट
हाँ,
है, इस
बिल्कुल।
तरीके का इज नॉट फिट फॉर दिस।
you have the potential.
पोटेंशियल है आप में, इसलिए हम कह रहे हैं, आपको ज्यादा समझा रहे हैं कि आप किस तरीके से इसको हैंडल करो। ठीक है,
Yes, sir.
ऑल द बेस्ट।
Thank you, sir. Thank you.